Hello, and welcome to episode 148 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach,
And I'm Jeff.
and we're your source for drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
That's right, just a couple of regular dudes drinking some irregular beers and talking about Magic the Gathering, in particular, the online client, MTG Arena.
That is right. And before we kick things off for this evening, we have to do what we do every episode, which is we bring a beer, we drink it, we rate it on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. So, with that, Jeff, what is on tap this week?
All right, we got a fun one tonight. So this is a beer called Guilty Remnant. It's by
Mhm.
Blood Brothers Brewing. And the fantastic thing about this beer, Zach, is that it's a white stout with
Yes.
coffee, vanilla, and the lactose.
Hmm.
But in particular, it's a white stout. Now, if listeners at home have never had a white stout, it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a stout, but it looks like a pale ale or even a
Hmm.
lager. And so it really messes with your mind because it if you close your eyes, it's a stout. But when you
Hmm.
look at it, it's a lager, and those things are so different, but you've just conditioned your brain to like taste something from looking at it. And so these things always mess with my mind.
Yeah, and it was super sweet. And that also white stouts have a very long history with the arena regulars. The first time we ever drank out of our mugs, Jeff brought a white stout to the show.
Yeah.
So
Because I felt like that was a cool way to use the mug for the
it
first time.
was.
It's like you can see the color of the beer you're drinking, and it does
Hmm.
not match
Yeah,
what you're drinking.
that was also the first time we started. Yeah, like you said, pouring our beers to look at them. So anyway, Jeff, let's get into this.
Let's
Let's
do it.
crack this guy open. Here we go. Three, two, one. Oh yeah.
Let's see if I
Well,
can show you what it looks like. This is
oh
a
yeah.
stout.
This is a stout. A what? A stout. A what? A stout. Oh, it's a stout. It's a white stout. For those of you listening, obviously we just poured our beers. So if you want to go check it out, head on to YouTube to see what it looks like.
Yeah. It
Oh.
really just looks like a kind of
Oh.
kind of a hazy, kind of maybe just an ale.
Mm. I just had a little sip from the can and
Yeah.
it's weird. Alrighty. So we have some magic
Oh,
news.
gets me every
Um,
time. Oh, it's not what that's supposed to taste like.
we have the new alchemy cards for Murders at Karlov Manor are now on Arena. It's 30 new cards that are digital only for the alchemy format, as well as historic and timeless, and brawl, I guess.
I know we were all waiting for this release with bated breath.
Yes. If you're really excited about this, tell us who you are. Come into our Discord. The links in the show notes right below you. I have yet to find anyone who's like super stoked on this. Um,
Okay.
I I don't want to like shit on it too hard, but the one thing I do want to say is that there is these 30 new cards. As always, you could just craft them. They're a mix between like mythics, rares, and uncommons. But there's also, you may have seen a draft queue that is specifically the alchemy draft queue, where you can draft Murders of Karlov Manor, but they will also have sprinkled in these cards. So don't get confused. If you don't want to do the alchemy thing, just be vigilant looking at what your draft names are, because oftentimes people go into a draft queue not really like realizing it's the alchemy one, and then be
Yeah,
really disappointed that
it's
they
very
spent
common.
the
Yeah.
the the gems that they saved up for a draft on the wrong draft. So
Yeah.
um yeah. Anyway, moving on. This month is March, of course, and we're getting March Madness, or what Wizards like to call it, metagame madness, where each
Ooh.
weekend we're going to have a different metagame challenge for constructed formats that matter. Um, because this weekend we're starting with standard, the following will be historic, and then we move on to explorer and timeless. Notably, alchemy is not part of the list, and we got new alchemy cards. Would be
Well,
probably a good time to have an alchemy metagame challenge when you're
if
doing all the
ever
other
there was
formats.
one.
Yeah, so that's kind of strange. Um, but Watsy's gonna Watsy. The things that this may be a through line through the show and the podcast and just everyone's Magic career. That like
Yeah.
the things that Watsy does they don't always really make sense, and it's hard to it's hard to
They are very good at designing magic cards. I'm
Mhm.
not convinced they're good at a lot of the other things that
Everything else. Yeah, it's definitely true. Um, they like know the secret formula of like making the cardboard crack for all of us,
Yeah.
but how they release it and what they say and when and
I mean,
their
event planning
events.
in particular feels like maybe a bit of a weak spot in
I
the
know. Like I thought the event planning was getting better because William Huey Jensen is now on. He's like part of the whole thing. He's like working at organized play, and he's the one
right.
who gave us the pyramid. That's like this is how you get to the Pro Tour or the World Championship and stuff. Um, but we do have some questions currently.
Yeah.
So we had our Pro Tour last couple weeks. Last episode was all about the Pro Tour. Um, we have another one coming up quite soon, actually. Like April 26th, I believe. April 26th to the 28th, which is the Outlaws of Thunder Junction Pro Tour. It's like, 2 weeks after the set comes out. Awesome. Or really just a week, actually. It's really
I
soon.
I do like that.
Hmm.
Um,
It's 2 weeks after the pre release,
right.
um, which is
I mean,
great.
that's not a lot of testing time, but
Mm,
I'm not playing in it, so I think that's awesome. Like, as someone who's gonna watch, that's great.
it's definitely better than the like 2 weeks before the new set comes out. It's much better than that
Yeah,
because
that
that was
is
horrendous.
some strange timing, man.
Yeah,
Everyone's
like
psyched about a new set, and they're just like playing the old decks.
play all these old decks, and we'll preview new cards, which they did preview a bunch of new cards at the Pro Tour, so like it was giving flashes of that, but it
Right.
didn't feel as like, hey, don't care about any of these matches. Look at this is how we get you to watch the matches. Is that those
Yeah.
previews in the middle,
Right.
which I think is horrible. Uh, they just don't understand what players want. It's so strange.
Yeah.
Though to be fair, players will say anything.
Yeah. I think that's part of the difficulty is that players don't know what players want.
Hmm.
And so when WotC asks players what they want, they don't tell them the truth. And then WotC has
Hmm.
to like infer what they really mean they
Yeah.
want. Um,
Or what you're saying is like they tell WotC what they think is what they want, but
yeah,
because they don't know what they want, when they're given the thing that they asked for, they get mad about it because it's not actually
basically.
what they want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so WotC has to play this guessing game of like, do they really want that or do they just think that they want that?
Hmm. Yeah, because like in theory it sounds really nice, but in practice it's terrible.
Yeah.
Um, that's definitely a thing. But this new thing that they're doing, I don't know if it's in. Obviously, it's intentional, but I don't know like what we're doing with it. But it's like we had a pro tour in February. We're gonna have a pro tour in April, and then they're having pro tour Modern Horizons 3 in June at the end of June.
Wow.
And those are the three pro tours of the year.
Right.
I
All done by June
all done by June. So the first half
or
of the
by
year,
July, I guess.
yeah, I guess like beginning of July. Um, so the first half of the year they're all done, and then I don't think we have another big event until Worlds
Hmm.
in October, like the end of October. So it just seems kind of like confusing. Like I don't know why they didn't just push Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3 to Pro Tour Bloomborough, which is already bumped up because
Right.
Bloomborough isn't coming out in September. Bloomborough is coming out in like the beginning of August or like the end of July, which is also a weird thing because that means like when is rotation going to be then?
I
Is
assume with Bloomborough.
Bloomborough? That would make
Yeah.
sense because you don't want to have like a month of 3 year standard plus Bloomborough, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's just
So anyway, it's just kind of confusing. I'm left a little like it just seems like they kind of peppered in these dates without like explaining it. Um,
The timelines are a bit condensed too. It's just
Yeah.
there's so many products.
Yeah, it's all like truncated. We're getting a ton of stuff right now, which just makes me think like there's a bunch of other stuff that's coming that we don't even know about. That's what it's got to be, right?
Right. It feels
So
like with the Pro Tours, it like the way it reads on paper is like they're fighting this losing battle of having a Pro Tour for every product. And then halfway through the
mhm.
year, they're just like, fuck it, no more then. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like
like it to me it makes more sense. Like okay, so probably some of the reasoning behind this is like Murders at Karlov Manor was a pioneer pro tour. Thunder Junction is going to be a standard pro tour. So then the modern pro tour is Modern Horizons 3, a real modern set. The last modern pro tour was Lord of the Rings. So
right.
that made sense. So they just kind of do it around those set releases.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they just didn't keep the same release schedule as they had last year, where it was like that modern set is in July, and then the other set comes out in September, like it always does, with rotation in September.
Couldn't tell you.
Like,
Like they do have one big event per quarter, I guess, right? Like there's the Q1 Pro Tour, Q2 Pro Tour, Q3 Pro Tour, and then Worlds in Q4. I think it's just the exact dates they tended to fall on makes it feel like really condensed in the
yeah,
first
that's
half of
not.
the year, and then the October ones like
Is the end of June still like quarter three?
I guess technically no, but it's close.
It's really
It's a
close.
few days, you know.
I think if it was in July, even even
It
if
was
it
like
was,
July 1,
yeah,
you
I
never
would feel
know.
so different. But because
But
it's
they
June,
probably is I would have to check the calendar, but is that weekend like the 4th of July? Is that why?
yes,
So
yeah,
they
it would
wouldn't
be.
want to do that.
I guess so. But like,
I guess it is the 5th, so that weekend that it would start.
it's just it just seems strange to me, and it seems strange looking back, being like, oh yeah, that was no. I guess they're just doing pro tours with modern sets. I don't know. I just think that Bloomborough. The real egregious thing is that Bloomborough is not in September. That just
Yeah,
blows my
that's the
mind
weird one.
because they made a whole like hullabaloo last year about 3 weeks before the set comes out, which is essentially August, like early August. That's when we're doing all of our bans for the year, essentially.
Right.
Which reminds me, there's a banded restricted announcement on Monday. I don't know if you heard about this.
I did not.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive it's modern, so it doesn't really affect us.
Oh, it's just
Um,
I was wondering if it was like a pioneer like reaction to the Pro Tours in some capacity, but
yeah, but like, is anything worth banning? And
Vein
like,
Ripper, get him
Vein,
out of here.
Vein Ripper does not need to be banned. Like, is it just
I
like,
I think there are legitimately people claiming that on non-ironically. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I haven't looked into
I
that, but
I think there are some. I mean, like I know Jim Davis has been doing a bunch of really fun TikToks where he was at the Pro Tour. He was asking a bunch of the pro players like certain little questions, and one of them was like, "What card should be banned from Pioneer?" And there were people that said Vein Ripper, but they were joking because they were playing Vein Ripper, and they're like, "It's too
right.
good. It's just
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cracked,
Busted.
busted card."
I love banning that one too and not Soren, which is
Yeah,
like Soren's going to
obviously,
continue to be the problem as they print more and more vampires. No,
yeah,
no,
because
you gotta
no,
print
no, no.
Vein. We gotta ban Vein Ripper.
It's like obviously Soren would be the thing. The thing that cheats out stuff is the thing that needs to get banned. But
Yeah,
like it doesn't.
but
It doesn't.
that deck
It's
does not need to be banned. If
no.
anything, I would like it if they banned Lotus Field, but
I mean,
I'm not sure it's like necessary at this point.
just ban hidden strings and never bring it to arena.
I'd love
That's
that. Yeah, that would be great.
they're just
Yeah,
like, you know
I
what?
don't have an issue with Lotus Field if you're doing the stupid like strict proctor thing.
That's
That's
fine.
fine. Like you always without fail, I thought sees you, and you have like two strict proctors and no Lotus Field, and then you slam Lotus Field on turn 3. That always happens, but
Yeah,
still, like I'm okay with that. Strict Proctor is such a dumb card otherwise that it's like
exactly.
you're playing some real stinkers to enable this potential nut draw.
Yeah, it also like doesn't. It's not crazy.
And it's
Do
not
you know what
even
I mean?
really a combo deck, I don't think. I
No,
think it just kind of wins with
just
Teferi.
value. Yeah, it's just like value stuff, as
Yeah.
opposed to like hidden strings, which is just like you get to untap a million times. Like
Right.
it just
Yeah,
keeps
like
coming
the
back.
deck in Explorer is I have a lot of mana, so I'm going to
Hmm.
try to overpower you. The deck in Pioneer is I win the game now. Like
Hmm.
I have two Lotus Fields, so I win.
Yeah, because they just
Like on this turn, I will combo you
it's
up.
done now.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the thing that I don't like. So
And
I
it's
would be.
very like solitaire, the type of deck that is kind of like one person playing solitaire, and
Mhm.
if they find the pieces and crack the code in time, they win. If they don't, you win.
Exactly.
It's like
It's the thing that we haven't seen on Arena with like obviously we've seen combo decks that do stuff like that, but there's nothing like being in paper when your Lotus Field player turns to their deck box and takes out like their
yeah,
colored
yeah.
mana
God.
cards to put on the
To
table to put dice on.
the things to count how much
Yeah.
mana they have floating.
And
Just
you're
like,
like,
oh,
okay. But you can't
guess I just
scoop
sit here and see if you fizzle.
exactly because you like there's a possibility that they won't be able to do it. So you
Yeah,
can't
just
scoop right then, but it's
makes me think of MTG Remy's "Wake Me Up Before You Combo" like
yeah.
every time. Just like this. That's exactly what this is.
It is. It really is. Um, oh man. But anyway, it's just like obviously we talk a lot about WotC bombarding us with sets and all these new cards. The alchemy cards are new and they like barely make a splash. And like I can't even look at them because there's like Fallout cards that were coming out, and we had spoilers at the Pro Tour and everything. And like the alchemy cards, like they're like just are so irrelevant.
Yeah,
Like I like maybe there will be one that someone brings up in Timeless or something. Um, there was actually there
I've been pretty successful in, well, I haven't played Timeless in a little bit, but
yeah
in my earlier days of playing Timeless, I was pretty successful in just pretending alchemy cards did not exist, and that was
yeah
like a totally reasonable way to approach the format.
yeah they kind of don't right.
Yeah, you
It's
run into the odd one occasionally, and I think Jund tends to play like Jarsil or like some of those really busted ones, but it just
mhm,
means you have to know like one or two cards.
exactly. It's just like there's certain ones you need to know how they work, but the rest of them are fairly just like unnecessary. This is actually something we should talk about. Did you see the rebalances of the alchemy cards? Because there's two rebalances. Um,
Oh, I did, but I don't remember what they are.
okay, so um, one of them is Geological Appraiser. They added an extra
Right,
mana to the mana cost,
sure.
which uh, seemed like a strange one to me.
I
I don't
think it
know.
was a thing in Historic, maybe like appraiser combo in Historic
Sure, that makes
is what
sense. I
is
guess
what that's for.
um, it makes it harder to get off of other things. I guess you can't discover into it anymore.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, you
so that
can't go like Carnosaur into appraiser anymore.
appraiser into whatever. But the one that actually seems interesting is Fragment Reality because this is actually a card that is an alchemy digital only card.
Right.
Um,
Thank
that
God for
would
this one.
yeah. So this one would actually like affect games, and you would see it every once in a while, either in Timeless or I know Timeless Best of One. It was extremely egregious because basically Fragment Reality is like a white instant for a single white. You get to exile a non-token artifact creature or enchantment, and then that player, whoever owned it, randomly gets a creature with lesser mana value from their library onto the battlefield tapped. And so basically, what people would do is just like play ley line decks where they just like mulligan until they have Fragment Reality, a land, and a ley line they could play for free from their hand at the start of the game,
Yeah.
and then get something that costs four or less, or I guess three or less.
Just stupid. Just something that shouldn't exist. It's
Yeah,
like the old Tybalt's trickery nonsense.
exactly. And usually it was like Geist of St. Traft, and then they would like attack with a bunch of stuff and like win really quickly. So now they just nerfed it to what exactly it should be, which is it just you can't target your own things anymore. You have to target
Yeah.
an opponent's stuff.
Which
Um,
makes it relatively useless.
bad, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. That's a good change. I'm
Yep.
I'm happy with that.
Thumbs
I
up to
didn't
those changes.
run into it often, but hey, it's worth noting that this removal spell is now Only removal spell,
Yeah,
not a
now
combo
it's just a
piece.
bad removal spell instead of
Yay!
a weird, dumb combo piece.
Exactly.
Should mention I misspoke earlier, was wrong. Like you actually still can Carnosaur into Appraiser because Carnosaur's Discover 5.
Gotcha. But you can't.
So
Uh, what's the discover for Quintorius? Is that 4? Right?
that one I think is 4. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
So
So
that would
that's the
be
one.
the big
That's the one
reason.
that's I
But
guess this doesn't affect Explorer, right?
no, this won't affect Explorer at all.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yes,
not
Discover 4 on Quintorius.
yeah, so not really an issue for us at all. But these are alchemy things, so they're not really affecting us a lot. I do want to say, um, so before actually doing the show, I hadn't really read many of these cards. There was like one that had jumped out that was on social media I was interested in. Um, but before we talk about that, there's a lot of like random legendary creatures in these this alchemy one.
Yeah.
And like we have talked before about like anthologies being kind of brawl focused, or like commandery focused, where it's like, what are these cards that they're adding? Like, I now to be fair, I haven't read all these cards because if you know me, I don't like reading, so
Yeah.
I didn't spend the time to read through all of them. But just an initial look, like 5 of the multicolored cards are legendary creatures that are characters from Ravnica that people like. And
Yeah.
this kind of feels like maybe it's not the first time that they've done this. Maybe I just haven't paid attention to these, but um are these just like, is alchemy supposed to be targeted towards like commander players or
I
casual
don't know. Like
players
I
or
was
brawl
wondering the
players?
same thing because I think they do tend to do this from looking back a little bit. Like they tend
Hmm.
to put characters that they couldn't fit into the main set in an alchemy product so that they exist.
Yeah.
But I think of alchemy as like the only people who play it for the most part are new players who don't really know any better
No. Yeah.
not to put it like, not to put too fine a point on that, but these
Well,
don't seem like the players that care about old Ravnican like
yeah.
characters that they
Exactly.
probably don't know.
It's like it's either that or people that are extremely casual and just don't care about tournaments because alchemy isn't the format for tournaments. Even arena championship number 5 is explorer. I think they're moving away from alchemy being like a tournament format in general.
Yeah,
They might be looking at numbers and being like, oh, this is kind of going down, and people enjoy it for kind of the wacky fun random stuff that happens. That's
right.
why there's so many cards that just like get a random card from a spell book because you have less control over it and it's kind of fun, and seek a random card from your deck or whatever. um so it's like, is this like the phone format, you know where you're like, oh,
Oh,
I'm just on my phone, let's just do something fun, I don't really care what happens in the end?
yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like I've actually, so it's funny to talk about. It's not really a competitive format, but
Oh, right, I forgot
because
about this. Sorry.
this month, uh, the qualifier play-ins are actually alchemy,
Right, right, right.
which I do like to play in, and so I've actually been playing a little bit of alchemy. So I have some fun experiences we could talk about here. But the one thing that I noticed is like the first game I played, I'm in silver or gold. Like this was maybe
It's
the day before
it's like after the reset.
the the day before the reset.
Oh, okay.
And I just hadn't played in a while. So yeah, because I got matched against someone who was mythic. And I was like
Oh,
silver, maybe gold. And so it didn't take that long to match me, but it did match me against it. They were like mythic number 35 or something. And I was
oh
like,
god,
I'm like
what?
gold 4. This is
Yeah.
so weird. Um, but that tells me that not a lot of people are in those queues
Hmm.
because or my like internal MMR is really high or something. But I think even then it would try to find me someone closer to my rank.
Even like a
Like
diamond or something.
Yeah, like MMR, I think is used secondary. Like your rank is first thing that they're looking for to match you
Hmm.
with someone of a similar rank, and then your internal MMR will be
Yeah,
used after that. I think. I'm not totally sure how the
I don't really know
matchmaking works,
either.
but that never happens to me in standard. Like I would have the same MMR across all constructed formats, and if I run
Hmm.
in play ranked constructed standard or explorer, I will 99% of the time get matched against someone who is the same
Interesting.
general tier as me. Like they might not be gold 4 or whatever, but they'll be
Sure.
gold.
Yeah, yeah, of
Um,
course.
so that was my very first match of the format. I was like, okay, nobody plays this fucking format. There was just only two people searching, and it paired us.
You're
And
also
you'll
you're playing
pair this.
Alchemy best of three, right?
Yes, that's true.
So
Alchemy
like
best of
maybe
three.
a lot of people are playing Alchemy best of one, and that's like the main best of one
Definitely
format.
could be. Definitely could be that. That's a good point. Um, and the other thing is, I joined a couple of alchemy events.
Hmm.
And the thing that you'll notice across all of these is you'll play the same people like back to back because there's just nobody else queued.
Playing the
So
oh, that's so
in an event, I played the same person twice in a row.
twice in a row. That's
Yeah.
awful. Did you
And
beat them at least?
yes, they were on like the stupid slime. They were just playing slimes, slimes against
Oh,
humanity or whatever. And so I was like, yeah, I'll trounce
oh,
that again.
sure.
That's fine.
So this
Like,
is how you remembered, because if they were playing like a meta deck, you probably wouldn't remember their name specifically.
yeah,
But you're
exactly.
like, who's playing the
It's
slime
like
deck again?
slime guy again. Yeah, so really again, I look at the username, it's like the same person.
It's
Yeah.
literally just Slimer from the Ghostbusters.
Yeah. So I think you're probably right. At the very least, like best of three ranked is not
Mhm.
what people are playing.
In Alchemy, yeah.
The people who play alchemy are maybe in the play queues, or they're in
Hmm.
best of one, or both. You
I
know,
think
like
I think so.
because
Like this
WotC
is
always throws these numbers out that alchemy is very popular. And that was like my experience with it was like nobody's playing this. I just matched the same person over and over again.
I hate that they put those numbers out because you know that alchemy starts with an A, and every time you build a deck, it automatically starts with the first format, which is alchemy. And there are so many
Yeah.
people that just don't know to change that. So you
Yeah.
could totally build a standard deck that's labeled alchemy. And so, like, what metric are you using? Like, are you in play queues with your alchemy deck or whatever?
Right.
I don't know. I feel like there's something fishy in there that's like,
It just doesn't seem right because I've never like I never see anyone playing alchemy
mhm.
literally ever. Like, you know, the to reveal how the sausage is made a little bit, like numerous content creators have told us don't talk about alchemy because nobody will listen.
Yes.
Like, so, you know, maybe I'm breaking that rule right now. Sorry, guys,
Yeah,
we've lost
because
them all already, anyways.
yeah,
But
anyone who didn't want to listen didn't already. But like, yeah, we've
yeah,
talked to people, yeah, and they literally gave us the advice of just like, just don't
yeah,
talk about it because people don't care, people don't
yeah.
like it.
People, if people see the word alchemy, they will not like click.
Yeah, so
Basically,
we're not put the alchemy will not be the name of the
yeah,
title of this
yeah.
episode because like you just can't. And so,
Although that one time we put like alchemy as a dumpster fire or something, like
oh yeah,
the
yeah, we
title
totally.
was offensive towards alchemy. We actually did okay, but
Anyway, let's we don't need to go like behind the scenes
yeah,
because I don't know how
behind the scenes,
yeah, I
yeah,
don't know how exciting that is, but anyway, as far as like alchemy goes in general, like I think the biggest thing from all these cards and the one that I talked about the most and we had a discussion on our Discord about this card is juggle the performance. So this is
Mhm.
the only card I'm actually going to read probably. Um, I'm going to say that and then I might read more, but this is one black red for a sorcery at Mythic. And it says each player discards their hand, then conjures a duplicate of each of 7 random cards from the library of the player to their right into their hand. The duplicates perpetually gain mana of any type, can be spent to cast a spell, which is like their favorite thing to put on alchemy cards, by the way. Mana of any
Yeah,
type can be put on the spell, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, yeah.
But the reason this
I
is
mean, you have
basically,
to when you're playing cards out of your opponent's deck because it's like
I know, it's
just
just,
sucks when I'm, you know, I steal a civic card and I'm like, well,
what do I do with this?
yeah,
Um, I just think that there's far too many alchemy cards that have that text.
Yeah.
But anyway, the only reason I'm talking about this card, basically, you're just like getting new cards. You're playing your opponent's deck, but you're
Yeah,
playing,
it's like a wheel effect, but the new hand comes from your opponent's deck.
but it doesn't come just from your opponent's deck. It comes from the player to your right.
Yeah.
And so this got a lot of talk because the way it's worded makes it sound like this sounds like a commander card where there's multiple opponents because it says it talks about the player to your right, not just your opponent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's worded to be functional in multiplayer for sure.
Hmm.
To me, it just seems pretty similar to when they say like each opponent. They're just doing that because they do think that one day they'll have multiplayer on Arena, but I don't think it's some deeper sign that it's in anytime soon or is in the works.
Yeah, I guess just whenever they say each opponent, I think most of the time I'm reading that on, to be fair, that's because I'm reading the card, and that means the card was in the main set, which is also in paper.
Yeah,
The reason this seemed most interesting is because this is a digital only alchemy card.
yeah.
So if it was a paper card, I'd be like, sure, whatever. Like that's obviously for Commander. Um, Now, yeah, does that mean that we're gonna get multiplayer on Arena?
I would be really surprised if that was anytime soon. I think eventually,
Yeah,
I don't want to say they plan on doing it. I think they like want that. Like it's in their long-term
it's
vision, the
yes.
game includes multiplayer, but I don't think they have plans currently to implement that.
I think they have plans currently, but it's not soon.
It's possible, yeah,
Hmm.
but
So like it's dead. Like there were many people reading this card being like, "Oh my gosh, like this is gonna happen really soon." It's like
right.
no,
I would be
like
surprised.
I would be extremely surprised. It shouldn't happen this year. Probably not next year.
Yeah.
If there's a huge overhaul in Arena at some point where we actually like fix a ton of things, which they're slowly doing. Though, did you notice in the most recent? So there's an update recently, like the normal like Tuesday update that brought these cards, and then there's a new visual bug issue with like the
Right.
cards. So like the first thing I see is like, oh okay, there's a new bug.
Yeah, classic, classic.
Classic Watsy.
Yeah.
Anyway, if they can fix all that stuff and make it so I don't know, their code is clean and nice and easy to manipulate, then maybe we see something like this in like 2 years, 3 years. But
Yeah.
don't hold your breath. But, how much money could they make if Commander players could play Commander on Arena? Like,
Yeah.
that would be,
Yeah, it's definitely something they should do at some point. Um,
I just don't know if it's going to be any good or like,
yeah, that's my concern, right? Like we're talking this is a very, very huge refactor.
yes,
It's
which like,
not just kind of take the code you have and
and fix it.
set players equals 4 in your
Hmm.
code rather than 2. But
Yeah, because then I don't even know how the board would look, and everything would
yeah,
be super
yeah,
different. You'd have to like move. You'd have to like. It would be very complicated. You wouldn't be able to play it on your phone, I'm sure. And
yeah. I can't imagine that multiplayer on your phone.
oh, geez, um,
It's already hard enough to play a match on your phone.
yeah. So, but ultimately, it would be probably the best thing for them. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's the alchemy things. So, Jeff, have you been enjoying playing alchemy for your tournament? I completely forgot it was the qualifier when I was talking about that it's
Yeah,
not
yeah. So
a
like, it's
competitive
just they don't
format.
use it anymore. I'm like, well, like next week,
They're actually using it right now.
literally, like in 2 days, there's going to be the best of one
Hmm.
playing. Um, I have liked it more than I thought I was going to.
Okay.
So, and I think part of it is there's a certain amount of like it's refreshing that it's a format where rotation has happened. So
Right.
it lets you feel a little bit like you're playing rotated standard, which is kind of that's the cool part. The not so cool part is like all the best cards in the format are not standard cards,
Mhm.
and so you're not really playing rotated standard, but it does feel a bit like rotated standard. I think on the balance, it's probably less powerful than standard
Mhm.
right now. It just has like a really high card quality range because all the best cards really are alchemy cards.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, everything is mid range. I guess that's the caveat. Like every good deck is a black based mid range deck, and which was true last time I played alchemy. I'm like, has the format really not changed at all since then?
I don't
But
think so.
like, I don't know if you're familiar with Porcine Portent or whatever, but that's probably one of the better cards in alchemy. But it's an adventure card that on the one side is an exile removal spell instant, and on the other side is an enchantment that gets you like a pig, and all the pigs are actually pretty good. So
Right.
it's just kind of like a Bone Crusher Giant. It feels a bit like Bone Crusher Giant, but um, because it has the removal spell and then turns into a relevant creature.
Okay. The adventure side is called Lend a Ham.
Yeah. Uh, Foresight important. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
pig. The three little pigs is kind of the theme of this one. But
that's and this is one of the best cards. That's so funny.
yeah, and then
I
there's
would
another
just
one called like Juggernaut Peddler,
yes, I do know that
and
one.
it looks at your hand and replaces something with a Juggernaut. So there's a lot of white black mid range because those cards are quite good.
Hmm.
And white even gets like it gets the remand from Lord of the Rings.
Right, that's true.
So
Reprieve or whatever.
pretty much every relevant deck is a black based mid range deck.
Hmm.
There are a few different ones, like there's Mardu, there's just black white, there is Jund, and there's but you're almost always Esper is really good. Um,
Shocker.
but it's not like standard where in standard you have domain, you have a control, you have a few mid range decks, and then there's actually aggro.
Hmm.
This is just like if you're playing against something that's not black based mid range, you're probably going to trounce them because your card quality is just so high.
No, but I thought that Slime Against Humanity was really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, awesome card. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like oh so brutal. They were even doing their thing, like milling a bunch of them and playing a big slime every turn, and I just easily beat that. So it's like if you are doing the thing that your whole deck does and it just you just lose, that's a sign that I mean, obviously they're playing it for fun, right?
Yeah,
But it's
totally.
like yeah, it's a sign that your deck's not the best. But yeah, and so since I do like mid-range mirrors and I
Hmm.
do like post-rotation standard, I have been enjoying it, but it hasn't taken that long for me to kind of feel like like more of this because it is the
Yeah,
same. It's a lot of the same, and there's almost no diversity. The
gotcha.
diversity is like which bomb mid-range card are you up against? Is it a Crucius deck? Is it a Jarsil deck? Is it like uh, 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 the Three Little Pigs? Is it like which of these kind of stupid cards
The three
is the
little pigs.
backbone of is the backbone of my opponent's deck? Esper's most common, I'd say, because it has the Three Little Pigs and the Clockmaker. And
Right.
the
Hmm.
Clockmaker is just like stupid. It's a 3/3 that makes a Midnight Clock, which is a 3 mana card.
Hmm.
Like, why do you have a 4 mana 3/3 that makes a 3 mana card on the battle when it enters the battlefield and then has another ability? Like,
Hmm.
this is just silly. But anyways, that's so Esper's probably like if I had to choose the best deck, but I've been playing red black because Inti and Crucius is stupid. So
That does sound very stupid.
yeah, it's just like drawing two cards a turn, and there's a lot of selection. Like Crucius can just go get whatever card you want
Whatever.
a lot of the time,
I know. That's
and
what I
makes
don't.
treasure tokens. And Crucius is a stupid card.
It is a really stupid card.
And I blew my mind because I've been playing with it, and it's a 3/1. And
Hmm.
then I read somewhere or like got reminded that
It
this
used
was
to
printed
be.
as a 3/3.
It was the
This
three
got
three.
nerfed from 3/3. I was like, are you kidding? Like you couldn't even cut down this thing? Like,
No.
That was so stupid. Like
It was a
3-1 is correct.
yeah, it was a 3 mana 3/3, and so it was like really hard to trade with in combat, and like just
Yeah, the current version, like I pretty much never attack with it because it's gonna lose in combat with
yeah.
everything,
Hmm.
but it's still the best card in my deck. So it's like they probably should have nerfed this thing harder than they did.
I know this was our biggest thing. We haven't talked about alchemy in a while, so it kind of feels nice to get into it a little bit. But like, it's just a consistent. They could have made something really great, but they didn't deliver
Yeah, yeah.
in in the sense that they don't things don't get nerfed nearly fast enough.
I just don't know why all the cards are like grindy mid-range cards. Like every single card that is really worth playing and worth like going out on a limb and building your deck around is, a 3/3 that makes a clock when it
Yeah,
enters the
it's all
battlefield,
value engine,
yeah.
right? It's all like
Or like, yeah, an adventure spell that is a removal spell plus a creature. And so you're
exactly.
just grinding out that advantage.
Yeah, it's like a 3 mana creature that gets you more creatures or more cards or mana. Like, and that's
Yeah,
what those decks like to do.
right.
And
It's
I
just
don't
like,
know.
could you not print like maybe some really good counter magic or like a good control finisher? Because that's the problem with control. I started with blue white control because I was like, oh, everyone's on mid range. We just got some awesome new blue and white counter spells.
No more
Let's,
lies.
this is the no brainer.
Yeah.
But of course, they don't have the Wandering Emperor anymore, which is huge because of
Oh,
rotation. It's
right.
like that's a big knock to the deck. But there
Hmm.
just aren't good finishers. Like there's no good planeswalkers to play really. Like you play Jace,
Hmm. And
which is
mill them.
okay. You could play the Teferi Temporal Pilgrim guy. You could play the
Sure.
expensive Wanderer.
Yeah, the
Um,
6 mana one.
it's okay. Or you play the big fish, the adventure fish, the whale thing that
That's
that's
probably
a
your best
that's a
bet.
finisher. Yeah, but like those cards compared to what the mid-range decks are doing are just
Hmm.
like they're not even gonna win you the game because they're just worse than my opponent's like 3 mana creature. So so it's like I control the board, get to the late game with my control deck, and then get outpowered, get
Hmm.
outmuscled, right? It's like, well, this is a losing strategy. And then you try to go under them, but there's just no really, really good
Aggressive
like
deck.
low to the ground aggressive cards that can get under these decks because the decks like the three little pigs card also gains life for some reason when it exiles something. And, like
Hmm.
it's just there's just so much value, and so I just don't understand why they've pushed it that way where the only thing you can do if you want to play quote unquote competitive alchemy is play a mid-range deck
Hmm.
because it just doesn't have to be that way. Just print good cards for other archetypes. Like, why?
I I think that it's that the the
It's literally just been years of black-based mid-range. Because you remember,
I know
when was it that that happened? They printed that like Esper card that
it was
whenever you discard something,
New
you go,
Capenna, yeah,
yeah. And since then, and I think black was already the best color in alchemy at that point. And then since then, it's just like,
because
well, I guess you're playing Esper mid-range all the time in
yeah, they
alchemy. Like,
because it used to be like a discard frenzy. Um,
right. And so it was a bit shocking to come back and be like, yeah, still the same exact same story. Like I guess Red Black Sack was good for a while because it had sanguine brush strokes and all that stuff. But
yeah, that was actually kind of interesting.
uh,
Back when
even
we
that,
were,
it's a black deck that kind of grindy.
yeah, I don't know it. I don't know who makes these cards, like where they are in the magic world of like making things. I don't know if there's like a section of the regular set that also has to make alchemy cards or what it
Right.
is. But I agree that like I don't know, they just don't we tried really hard to make it. to be into it, and like you shouldn't have to try that hard
Yeah.
to be excited about it.
I did
So
get wrecked by Jarsil one game because I don't think I'd ever played against Jarsil. And in my head,
mm,
what Jarsil says is it's kind of like Dreadhorde Arcanist, where it's like Dreadhorde Arcanist is power and Jarsil is like intensity, but it's like you
yeah,
could play a non-creature spell from your graveyard from this intensity. And I was like, all right, well, you don't have anything in your graveyard, so I'm going to leave your Jarsil. I'm going to kill your Crucius because
that
that
discards stuff
that
and
thing is huge.
mhm,
It is like a bigger deal right now.
mhm,
But Jarsil went to 3 intensity the next turn, and I thought it said non-creature spell, but it does
mm-mm.
not say non-creature spell, and he just brought Crucius back, and I was like, oh fuck, and I just conceded.
Yeah,
But I learned a valuable lesson about why Jarsil is stupid in that game because I was like, it's any spell. Why is it any spell?
it's just anything. Yeah,
And so like no wonder Jund is so good. You have Crucius discarding stuff to play for free with Jarsil. Just
yeah.
and you have like the Hobbit to power them out on turn 2
Oh yeah,
and make it uncounterable.
right. I keep forgetting that the Lord of the Rings cards are part of this too.
Yeah, they're just like the best cards in the format for the most part.
Yeah,
Like there's the
that's
alchemy
kind of nice.
bomb, you know, there's again it's a
Creatures.
lot of legendary creatures and stuff. So there's that top elite tier of like alchemy bombs, maybe 5 of them
Yeah.
that define which version of mid-range you're playing. And then all the best cards are Lord of the Rings cards. Um, I haven't seen a ton of the One Ring though, to be honest,
Oh, okay.
and like zero Bowmasters, because
Oh, because
Bowmasters is
Bowmasters is
they're both
nerfed.
nerfed,
Yeah, they're nerfed.
but the One Ring is still pretty good. Like I've played against it a couple of times where I'm like, oh, that's pretty good, but
What's the difference?
I see a ton of it. You have to pay 1 to draw cards now,
Oh,
so the original is just like tap it and
tap
draw all
it.
those cards, right?
Yeah.
This one forces you to pay.
Okay.
It makes it a lot worse, obviously, but like for the power level of alchemy, it still feels over the top.
Yeah.
Like for a standard set, it's still a little like
Too
this
much.
is really good.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to play it. So
Interesting.
I have Bowmasters in my sideboard in case people play it, and I never bring them in because nobody
Nobody plays
like
it.
draws cards. It's all like conjuring stuff and
Yeah.
uh it's like okay, Bowmasters
Seeking
kind of
things.
sucks in this format because
Yeah,
nobody
because
draws. Yeah, seeking and conjuring
you
and
just like go
exactly.
get the card you want.
Yeah,
Oh, discard a card and go get whatever card you want, essentially.
exactly. So,
It drives me nuts.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad
But
you've been enjoying your brief stint in alchemy as you're kind of forced to play it. As
yeah, I've taken a little break now just so like I don't want to feel totally burnt out when I have to play it this weekend or next weekend to try to
sure.
get into that event. Um, so it is because it is just the same thing over and over and over again. So it's
Hmm.
like it was fun to hop in and be like, okay, this is kind of like rotated standard. Um, but it's never a format I would play long term. And if I wasn't, prepping for something in particular, I wouldn't play it. I would be playing a different format. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the sad truth. Um, yeah, I think I
like
just might
it
be on
sucked
it.
less
It's
than I
like
thought, but it's not as fun as Explorer or Timeless or Standard.
or standard or draft
Yeah, or
or any of
Draft. Yeah,
them.
it maybe historic. I don't know. I've never played Historics in a very long time, so maybe it's more fun than Historic, but
Maybe
probably
brawl.
not. Yeah,
I
yeah,
play
maybe it
brawl.
has Brawl Beat.
But no, I don't know. Seems
It is funny to have your game revolve around the Three Little Pigs.
that I do kind of like that, and that's the big joke that they were making. Cardboard Crack had that one comic about all the universes beyond things and
Yeah,
using Spider-Man's web slingers and the Three Little Pigs and Burger King and all that stuff. It's all coming true. It's all happening.
yeah.
We're getting Marvel in a couple years when it's super irrelevant because the MCU is tanking right now, and
Still waiting for Mortal Kombat.
I know. When are we
Still
getting that?
waiting. Yeah.
Imagine. So remember all the like Liliana's defeat Gideon's defeat, all those. That,
Yes.
but with Mortal Kombat art,
Oh,
like
I love it.
fatalities,
Yeah,
where
that'd
they're
be
like
great.
punching Jace's head off,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Ripping his like spine out.
Yeah. Like
It's always Jace too.
it's always no, like it would
Or Teferi. People would buy that if it was like
if it
doing
was
fatalities
Teferi.
on Teferi.
Teferi. That's true. Just every control finisher ever.
Yeah.
Fatalities. That would be funny.
They'd have to make a card called Get Over Here for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Raiden Babale, there's another one for you.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's that. If that universe is beyond ever happened, like I would be stoked on that one. But
Yeah, I think it's not the kind of thing they're looking for due to the maturity of it.
yeah,
But
this. I mean, they did The Walking Dead. Like, I don't think that they're gonna show Jace getting his head popped off and stuff like that. Like, that's what I want.
yeah,
That would be like if I could make a
in like
proxy
a
of it. That's what I
magic
would
art
do.
style, that would be really cool. Yeah.
That would be really cool. But so like getting a proxy of that would be cool.
Get like Magali Villeneuve to do
Mm,
like a Mortal Kombat fatality. I would love that.
that'd be sick. Like a low angle, Jace is standing there, and from behind,
Oh
Scorpion
yeah,
is just ripping his head out.
that'd be great.
That'd be great.
I don't even care what the card is or does. I would buy that card.
Yeah, yeah. I would probably just like. So the Mortal Kombat secret layer would have to have like all the ninjas,
Oh yeah.
and then obviously these
Or at
spells.
least like one for each color, right? Like
Yes.
the the red ninja would be Scorpion,
Mhm.
probably, even though he's
Well,
not red in
he's
color, but
yellow
he's
in color,
fire.
but he's fire.
Yeah,
You have Sub Zero, obviously, and then you have Reptile is green,
yeah. And then Noob Saibot is
black.
black. And is there a white one?
I mean, you have like Melina,
Smoke.
Smoke as
He's like
white,
gray.
kind of. I
Yeah.
guess it's not super. I mean, I feel like Melina would have to be in there somewhere. I think maybe Noob Saibot doesn't have to be there because that's just a Mortal Kombat joke. You know what I mean?
Because it's Tobias Spoon
Yeah,
backwards.
yeah, yeah. It is. What was he? He was the creator, or was he? Who was
Yeah,
he?
he was the I think co-creator.
Hmm. Like, what a dumb joke. Like, imagine we had a
It's like me
card.
naming a like Ekip Veg or something.
Yeah, or like like if we had a very famous character in Magic that was just Richard Garfield backwards, like that would be
Oh
so
my god.
lame.
I mean, don't we have a card called Morrow?
We do have a card called Morrow, um but at least that's like his. I I don't know. It's not. It doesn't. It's funny. It doesn't feel that weird for whatever reason.
Yeah,
Because was
the
it named
name
after
back.
him?
I don't know. I'm assuming it probably wasn't, but
Yeah,
because they didn't like to do silly things back
back
then.
then. Yeah, and now they have three little pig cards. So
Yeah, yeah. Just in digital though, it's okay.
it's. I mean, like we have other silly things. Like in is Magic getting sillier a good thing?
I generally like it.
Mm-hmm.
It depends, like, I don't know, maybe there's a world where they go too far and it's just like I don't
Like
think I would care though.
it's a.
Like
I
I
think
gotta say, I love Ginger Brute. I love Tough Cookie. I love that kind of
I
stuff,
do
you know?
too.
It's like
I just think that like there were certain characters or creatures and things in Yu-Gi-Oh that I thought were a bit too silly that I
yeah.
didn't like. They were like um there I think in Yu-Gi-Oh there's a whole toon version of all the cards basically.
Oh
There's like
yeah.
a toon
Right.
world and so then a bunch of them it's like toon dark magician and
Yeah, yeah,
toon
yeah.
blue eyes white dragon or whatever. Um and
I
that
never
seemed
loved that stuff. It just
I was
feels
like
like just come up with new characters, man.
yeah, don't just like alternate universe them again.
Yeah.
Seemed kind of lame to me. So that would probably push it over. Or like Time Wizard, which was like he's a clock and he has like a
Oh
wand
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he's just like he looks like he's in like a Banjo Kazooie game, which I love Banjo Kazooie. It's really
Dude,
silly and fun.
Banjo Tooie was one of the
Banjo
all-time
Tooie.
greats.
That's a great game,
Yeah.
man. When are we getting the Banjo Kazooie secret layer? That's what I want to know.
Oh, I would love that, man. They just gotta start hitting all these like millennial N64 game secret
Mm,
layers. I'd be all over them.
yeah, like that'd be sweet. But it's just so funny because like as far as secret layers go, I haven't bought any of them.
Same.
I tend to not really look at the announcements and stuff, but I like to think about the possibilities. Like,
Yeah, which I think is an under discussed feature of Universes Beyond. It's like it's cool
mhm,
to think about the most ridiculous Universes Beyond you can come
yeah,
up with, or like your personal favorite
okay.
brands.
So what is the most ridiculous universes beyond that you can come up with?
I guess like Mortal Kombat's got to be on there. Like, there's no way they're ever gonna do that.
I was thinking like
Like
universes
ridiculous
beyond
the other
or
way.
like secret layer like Gilmore Girls, you know?
Okay, yeah, yeah.
like
We're going deep with
like
this.
Grey's Anatomy, secret
Yeah.
layer Grey's Anatomy. You know, like what like what worlds do we live in where that's a thing? Like we really want to focus on our female audience, so we're gonna start making.
Grey's Anatomy. Secret Layer Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you get the spell "No soup for you," and it's just a counter spell.
I would love that. I would definitely buy that.
like,
Uh, have
like,
my commander be George Costanza.
yeah. He's just like an like I feel like what's that card? Um there is like a blue white card in some set that like you win the game if you can tap it enough times it gets enough like filibuster counters.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like it's reskin of that, but it's George Costanza where he just talks forever would
Yeah.
probably be fitting.
About nothing.
Yeah, literally nothing. You have to stop everyone from doing what they're doing and just tap your creature a billion times.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Filibustering is a good like word for what George Costanza does.
yeah,
He's like a filibuster in life.
yeah, he is. Oh, oh my gosh. I'm excited to see where we go, like how far we'll get into secret layers because it could
Honestly,
be,
like they've gone further than I would have thought from when I first heard about these types of things, right?
yeah. Like we started the podcast and the first one was announced.
Right.
So it's
And I was like,
been,
Walking Dead, like, yeah, zombies. We have zombies and magic. Like, sure.
but
But
now,
they did like Street Fighter, which I would have surprised by, and if
mhm,
they made a whole Lord of the Rings set, like Lord
mhm,
of the Rings obviously makes sense because it's similar like dark fantasy kind of setting. So it's not that big of a stretch in terms of the IPs, but it
mhm,
is. But they made a whole Lord
yeah.
of the Rings set that I have played the cards from. I did not
Mhm.
expect that to be a thing.
Ever. And
Yeah,
so now, like, we're just in the new. It this is like part of. It's not a. I don't know. I wouldn't call it a renaissance, but it's
yeah.
definitely an era of Magic where Walking Dead started it, and we're in the universes beyond. Where we're getting Marvel, and we're gonna have like just wait till we get Star Wars and Star
I
Trek
have
or.
I have played against Frodo several times. Like they're
Mhm.
just part of the games that I've had is
Yeah,
my opponent plays Frodo.
I have a whole commander deck that's like all Lord of the Rings, and when I play that, most of the time it's just me trying to get all the hobbits together, and
Of
then
course.
after that I'm like, I don't want to attack with any of them because I don't really want them to die because I want them to be together.
Yeah.
And so the game is not really about magic; it's just like, look what I
Yeah.
did, and I guess that's what commander's supposed to be.
Isn't there
Um,
that version of Commander where everyone has a secret objective? That, like you don't necessarily win the game by killing people, you win the game by accomplishing your secret objective. And yours could be like get all the hobbits
it could
together. Yeah.
so there is This is a little bit of a tangent, but
This
um,
whole episode's been a tangent.
that's true. That's true. Um, if people like Commander, the Commander show that I liked the most when I was watching a lot of Commander content and playing a lot of Commander and really into it was Commander Versus by Star City Games.
Yeah.
So Corey Baumeister is on it now. Um,
Oh, he does the
but
Commander verse because he used to do Versus Live,
mhm,
where they did
which
like competitive. Uh,
yeah, because Ross Merriam would do that with like Todd Anderson and all of
yeah,
them,
and
right?
then it was Corey and Ross for a
And
while.
it was Corey and Ross for a while, and then
And I think they're trying to bring it back actually. Like Corey and Ross set up some sort of Kickstarter or GoFundMe type of thing to be like start making their own version
oh, that's
of
cool.
that.
Oh, I would
Yeah,
watch that. I have watched some of their versus live stuff,
yeah.
but Commander versus like it's a live show, and so they have like they could talk to chat and stuff while it's happening. But I usually watched it when it was recorded. But they would do really wacky, fun things like that, where like one week you spin a wheel and then you get a number of objectives or whatever,
Mm.
and then there are secrets to everybody, and then you come the next week with your deck and everyone's just trying to figure out what your secret objective is, and
Right, because
whenever
they're
you
like, why
get
are
to
you playing this card?
why do you have all vehicles and
Yeah,
like the whole point is to crew three vehicles with three other vehicles or whatever, so
right.
you're just like you need this vehicle to jump into this vehicle to jump into this vehicle, and then
Yeah.
you get your objective. um like that seems really interesting.
Hmm.
And they also have like a point system where like when you're playing Commander you get points for doing different things because they have a season. Anyway, if my play group could be exactly Commander versus, I would be so deep into Commander.
Right.
But it's not, and so I don't play it
I
nearly
think
as much. But
big part of Commander, I guess, finding the right play group for
it
you.
really is, yeah.
Yeah.
So it can be difficult. Life is really complicated, and scheduling is really hard.
Yeah.
So it is how it is. But anyway,
Anyway, Alchemy cards came out.
they did.
I've even been playing this format, and I don't think any of these really matter. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe they do. Maybe I'll get maybe like the bummer for me is I've been playing red black, and I'm like, oh man, they printed a mythic rare red black card. This will be a great addition to my deck. And then I read it, I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's
Yeah.
like it's like a wheel effect that I steal from my opponent's deck. I don't want this. Um, so
Yeah.
that was a bit of a wah wah.
Sorry,
I guess
pal.
there's like a lightning, the card people have been calling lightning bolt. Shove aside the red, one red mana for a sorcery. If you aren't the starting player, it has flash and it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. People keep calling this lightning bolt, and I'm like, you can't call something that doesn't go face lightning bolt. You just can't. Like,
Yeah.
lightning bolt is all about the ability to go face.
Yes. A lot of people think of it as like, oh, bolt the bird, and so like their mentality is also it's a sorcery. Oh no, it has
Yeah,
flash.
but
Sorry.
yeah,
Unless you're, I didn't read the first half of the card,
yeah,
and I didn't listen to you while you were talking about it.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. um,
Neither did I. I was zoned out as well. What was this card?
I was getting back to the cards when
Yeah,
we were doing that. I will say that there's like a case. There's the red case, and this is one of the ones that I opened when I was like opening packs that I got for free. Check
right,
your inboxes, everyone.
right. You should have 3 packs of these.
That's half of a rare wild card, so might as well.
Ooh,
Um, but case
thank you,
of
Watsy.
the market melee is one in red for a case, and
I
when it
like
enters
that
the
name.
yeah, when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any target, and then it just says damage isn't removed from creatures during cleanup steps, like
Oh yeah, they love
ever.
this effect in alchemy. I hate
Yeah,
it.
I hate it. And this is the main reason why I don't like this card. Is just like it just decides it just says, hey, we're playing Hearthstone now,
Yeah,
and it's just it just stops feeling like Magic at that point.
the game is so much worse with damage not being cleaned up.
Hmm.
Like there's a reason it's not health and dealing damage over time like some other games. It just makes this the way the combat works in this game is not suited to that.
No, it makes green creatures so much worse.
Yeah.
Like it, it,
Like
and
all of combat is predicated around like my 2/3 blocks your 2/2 for free. There's
yes,
no downside.
hmm
So
and
you
now
should not
it's,
attack.
hmm and now it's like, oh, I want to trade my card to make your card die at some point.
Yeah.
I,
I don't like this effect,
I
and they
don't
do
like
it a
it either.
lot. But none
Hmm
of the cards that they do it on are really super playable. So, like, I've never actually. I think the one time I ran into something like that was when I forgot. Because, okay, so another thing that bugs me that I just have to talk about is like, how come if I ever like do a draft or something, if I go back to play a constructed event, I have to re-choose all of the settings that I want every time. It's like I have to click ranked, I have to click best of three, and then I have
Oh,
to select the
that
format.
is
It
annoying.
always assumes I want unranked best of one. And I'm like, can you not just remember that I literally always play ranked best of three?
Yeah.
And so I often end up in I'm pretty good about hitting best of three, but I always end up like in the play queue and I realized like halfway through the game that neither of us have a rank showing. I'm like, son of a bitch.
I agree. It's just stupid little things that just don't, I don't understand why
Like
this
just
is,
it should just default to the last thing I did. Like,
yeah,
why do I have to go select all of the settings I want every time if
I know.
I've literally done anything else at
I
any
know
point?
this Playblade was supposed to be better than the old one we had, which was
Yeah.
just like just just words on the side. They're like no
Yeah,
pictures
yeah,
and
right.
all
You
that
just
stuff.
click like best of three ranked or whatever.
But
Yeah.
like it hasn't really proved to be fully better.
It's not awesome.
Mm-mm.
It's not awesome. Like I routinely end up in a match or like type of match that I didn't want to play. That just happens to me all the time. So
When I was playing the Niles Bat Heist, doing that thing, I
yeah.
definitely queued into Timeless on accident because
Yeah.
like it just clicked it and I was just going too fast and I was like, oh shit, we
I
were
mean
playing
you could do the
standard.
bat heist in Timeless.
Yeah, but
But I
I didn't want to get any timeless cards because then
oh
I was
yeah,
going to go
that's
back to
fair.
standard. So if I did it in timeless, I could. But also we got
Harder on the wild cards.
thought seized immediately. So
Yeah. Pick your bat.
yeah.
Well fuck.
Yeah. So any thought seized
Yeah,
format
yeah.
makes it really really hard
It would be so slow.
because like you can't get anything done because it like happens so much. Um
That's when you like you got to get just rapid fire games until you're able to bat a thought seize yourself somehow, and
mhm.
then you can like try to defend your hand with a turn one thought
Yeah,
seize
I have to mulligan so many times that I have both a Thoughtseize and a bat in my
and
hand
a bat
and
and you're
two
on the
lands.
play,
Yeah, for
and they
sure.
can't have more than one thought seize in their hand.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Oh god. Anyway, alchemy, it's a format
It is a
that
format.
we usually don't talk about, but for some reason we talked about it this whole episode. Look at that.
Yeah. The
And
TLDR is it doesn't suck as much as you probably think it does, but in order to have any actual chance at like competing, you need to spend a lot of wild cards because all the best cards are alchemy. And
mhm,
so and Lord of the Rings if you don't have that set collected. So it's like really high barrier to entry. It's very specific. You have to love black mid-range mirror matches. You have to be willing to spend a whole bunch of wild cards on like just alchemy cards that you won't use in any other format.
mhm,
And I mean, you have to also want to play like this powered weirdo, like somewhat powered down, somewhat powered up version of standard.
mhm.
Um, because the refreshing thing is the mana is not just free.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's not just what do whatever you want, and so the surveillance actually do show up a lot,
Mhm.
and
I
that
mean,
part's been kind of nice. But
that is cool. I mean, I was literally playing standard the other day and remembering the continued if you're playing an enemy aggro deck, you can't really.
You just don't.
Um,
You're just not allowed. Yeah.
you're just not allowed to. Um,
Whereas in alchemy, everyone's mana kind of stinks. So, but
it's
it is
okay.
probably a reason that there's not a lot of aggro as well. But when you play against Esper, you feel like they are getting punished a bit for being three colors versus me being two.
Mhm.
And like that
Especially,
materializes.
yeah, because they
Whereas in
don't have
standard, it
the
doesn't really.
yeah, because they still have the new Capena lands.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what lands we're getting in Thunder Junction to see if
Come on.
they
It's got to be the fast lands, right? The ones that aren't in there yet.
no, they're going to be the quick draw lands.
Quick draw lands. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just give me like concealed courtyard, man. Like give me,
please,
yeah.
please. I need
Spire Bluff
Botanical
Canals.
Sanctum.
Is that the red blue one?
Yeah, red blue one. We need Spire Bluff Canal. I
Yeah.
was playing.
They don't have to include Botanical Sanctum. I don't care about that one. Like if
I've
that's just not there, it'd be like, wouldn't even notice.
Jeff. I've been playing Civic and Standard.
How dare
I've
you?
been working on Kellen decks,
How
and
how
so
dare yeah.
I
Can't
was,
believe this. I
I
feel
know,
betrayed.
I know. I've been like devolving into a
Yeah.
Civic gamer.
What happened to you,
Um,
man?
I don't know. I'm playing like a tempo deck. It's not rampy. It doesn't. It's not
All
rampy
right.
stompy.
If it's not like ramp, I guess that you get a pass.
Kellen's
But
the most expensive card in the deck.
okay. All right.
Yeah,
Fine.
everything
I
else
guess
is
I can
below
accept
that.
that.
It's like
Yeah.
Kellen, Crypticoat, and like trinkety artifacty things.
Nice.
Um, and so I'm playing. So I was playing Kellen, but
Yeah.
the fun thing about Kellen is that so when he attacks, obviously you can blow up an
And to
artifact.
clarify, we're talking about the four mana Kellen
The
green
four
blue
mana
one.
Simic Kellen, yeah, the newest one.
There's like three Kellens in
I know.
standard.
Sorry, we're not playing Kellen Typal or anything, but so Kellen, when he attacks, you can destroy an artifact. If it's your own, you draw a card. However, your opponent doesn't play very many artifacts. Most people play enchantments. That's just a thing in standard. I
Yeah. There's a
found
lot of
out because there's
powerful
nothing to blow
enchantment.
up. But if you play Kite Sail Larcenist, you can turn your opponent's creatures into
And
artifacts
then blow them up.
and then blow them up.
I love it. I mean, there's got to be some like clues kicking around and stuff,
There
no?
are and stuff. Yeah, there are little
Just doesn't
things.
feel that good to kill an opponent's clue.
It's
It's
not,
like, you kind of got that
especially
for free, and then I kind of
mhm,
killed it for free. It's
yeah,
sort of a zero sum game there.
yeah. So, um, but the larcenist one is pretty funny.
Yeah, that's a sick
it's
combo.
it's not good, but it's fun.
It's such a
Um,
roundabout way to just destroy something, but
exactly. Basically, the whole game, like every time I was playing, I was just like, I could just be playing black, and I could just play Ghost for the Throat.
yeah.
But
Or
I'll do this
if I'm
instead.
insistent to be attached to a creature, I could play like Chupacabra or something.
Yeah, or whatever. The
Or your
this is
opponent's just like, okay, cool. I play Archangel of Wrath, kill two of your things, gain four life. I have a
mhm.
3/4 flying vigilance or flying lifelink. And you're just
They're
like,
like,
that card felt better than my cards.
why is that card so much better than mine?
Yeah. I had to use like three cards to kill a single thing, and that card just came down and blew everything up and
Yeah, gained a
gained
bunch
four
of life.
life. And yeah.
Uh, I remember when I was excited that that card was printed. I thought it was interesting. Maybe we'd have like a cool
That's
like
the problem with those types of cards, man. When you read it, you're like, this is going to be in a Boros deck or in a
yeah Mardu or
Orzhov
like
Mardu.
Orzhov. So you have to kind of choose because playing like three color aggro wouldn't work out. This is your top end.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be the
It's
top end of an aggro deck. You splash a little red to
mhm.
sometimes
Get both of them. Yeah,
get that double. Nope, it just goes in like the stupid rampy control deck.
it plays all colors and
Yeah,
it just it's a creature that blocks really well and gains life and kills stuff. So
yeah.
fuck
It's
yeah,
probably like the reason that deck is good. I mean,
it's got to be
there's a few
one of
reasons, but I don't think the deck is tier one without that card.
no.
I mean, you could say that about Sunfall as well, but I think you could ditch Atraxa and still have a tier one deck, but you
Hmm.
can't get rid of the Archangel.
Like because there are many games where you're like, okay, I just need one more turn and I win, and they
Yeah.
either Sunfall or they play that and kill something.
It's always the second Archangel that gets
Hmm.
me. I'm always like, well, if they have a second Archangel, I don't think I can win. But
Yeah. Well, currently for me in draft, it's the third Azoni, and then
yeah, that was great.
For those of you who don't know, I was streaming the other day. I was playing draft, and my opponent had drafted three Azonis from the new set, which is
An
just a
Ozoni is an unbeatable bot. Like that
yeah
might be the second best card in this
behind
set.
like a Rayless Vindicator probably.
Yeah, that's my pick for number. Like I haven't played as much as you, but that was my kind of like de facto number one. It's like got to be that
Yeah,
thing.
that
The
and then like
Ozoni's got to be top five cards
it's
in
definitely
this.
top five. I think like Araya's Vindicator and then like Aurelia and Agris Kos. All the Boros ones just always feel like such a beating because Boros is the best
Yeah,
deck.
right.
But Azoni is like three bodies because you make two spiders. And then when it
Two of
attacks, it
which
makes
have
more bodies.
menace.
Like,
Like
yeah,
menace is ridiculous, and reach. Like 2/1 menace reach. That is no like a lot of tokens are kind of like, that's incremental value. It's not worth a full creature. Now these
it's
are legit creatures. Like,
yeah, it's like a Lolth that makes more
yeah,
tokens and
yeah.
attacks
And I think we learned how good 2/1 menace reach is from Lulth,
from
where it was
Lolth.
like, wow,
Yeah,
that card is a lot better than I thought because these tokens are no joke.
yeah, they're
It's
no
so
joke.
annoying to block 2/1 menace reach creatures. Like,
It's yeah. Anyway,
and then yeah. So Izoni's busted. I don't think I've ever beaten someone playing a single Izoni. So in draft.
yeah, it was brutal. It was really brutal. I almost
I've been
like just
playing Azoni. I was playing Azoni in Standard a little bit,
yeah,
so
yeah, I
I
could see
have
it.
a minor obsession in Standard with uh the Roots card,
Insidious
Insidious
Roots.
Roots.
It
I'm
seemed
not playing
right.
like the all-in like combo nonsense that other people are
Hmm.
playing. It's like a mid-range deck that basically just plays Tyvar and Insidious Roots.
Hmm.
And so for those who don't know at home, like Tyvar Insidious Roots is a combo because Insidious Roots, whenever a creature leaves your graveyard, you make a 1/2,
A
I want to
zero,
say.
1/2 plant.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're right. You make a 0/1 and then you put a
and then you put a
counter on
counter
all your
on it.
plants. So you
Hmm.
make a 1/2. It also lets all of your tokens tap for mana,
Hmm.
and Tyvar lets those tokens tap right away for
Hmm.
mana. So Tyvar comes down, he gets the show rolling by returning a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, which creates a token, which you can then use to spend more mana, which usually will get another creature out of your battlefield, which you get another token. So you generally just with those two cards, like you just pop off and end up creating like three or four gigantic creatures. The all-in combo decks play a lot of like crappy one drops that easily exile from your graveyard in order to make like 20 creatures. But
Hmm.
I found you just don't need that. If you do like three or four, you're gonna win. So play a deck that isn't all in on having this card, like where it does nothing,
Hmm.
and just like you don't need to go all in on this combo. This combo you have to untap anyways, so you still get like Sunfalled and whatnot. So I don't like the all in version that's playing a ton of garbage one drops. I
Yeah.
like just play a black green deck, and the fun thing is, like Mosswood Dread Knight. When he dies and you cast him from your graveyard, you're triggering Insidious Roots. Like that's just
Hmm.
it's leaving your graveyard. So um, the black green deck already just kind of has a lot of stuff that likes this, and Tyvar likes Mosswood Dread Knight, and like
Are you playing Blossoming Tortoise in that too? Oh no,
I
that's not
don't.
creature. Never mind. Sorry, that's a land.
Yeah, it's lands.
My
I
bad. My
think
bad.
it's worth you could think about it just because it mills and like
Hmm.
you're interested in that. Like again, you're not really all in on Insidious Roots. It's just kind of a black green mid range deck that has this ability to go over the top and flood the board out of nowhere. Um, but I'm not playing it currently. I think I'm just playing like Shieldred in the 4-drop slot or something.
Gotcha. Your least favorite card.
Yeah, yeah. It's I feel like I always talk about Children and playing it so often. I'm just like, this card is garbage and overrated, and everyone should stop
It's
playing
always
it.
slots into
And
your
then,
deck.
then I have four of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's overrated. Stop playing it, you guys. Stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, you don't need a pack removal for it because it's so bad.
It's so
Yeah.
bad. Oh
I've been having a
man.
lot of fun with that. The deck is just okay.
Nice. That seems
It's
cool.
probably better to just play like Esper or like an actual just mid-tuned mid-range list, but this is more fun because
That
I
sounds a
love
lot
time.
more fun. I'm just like getting
Yeah,
tired of the other list too. Just like,
exactly. And you know I love Tyvar, so as soon as I
yeah.
was like, this is an excuse to put 4 copies of Tyvar in my deck, like I'm there.
Hmm.
And the other one that's really good with it is Ren and Realmbreaker.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So just like as a really solid, you mill stuff and return permanents to your
Just like
hand, and
all
then
the 3-drop
if it
planeswalkers.
ultimates, you get to cast creatures from your graveyard, so you just go bonkers. But
Hmm.
and it's not impossible to ultimate it because it's a 3 mana planeswalker. So if you do it on the play,
Hmm.
you can often do it. And then I like to animate my uh the green black creature land,
The cottage.
the cottage. And the cottage exiles stuff from graveyards, so you target your own creature in your own graveyard.
And you
And
make plans and make them
yeah,
bigger. Ooh, that's also like a pump spell on attacks.
yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
So you can do some funny like nifty things. I find if you ever have more than one insidious roots in play, it's way too hard for your opponent to keep up because you just go kind of nuts. But people are so ready to blow up enchantments that I think that's kind of the weakness of the deck is like other people are incidentally ready for it with their destroy
From
evils and stuff
because of like
because
wedding announcement and like
yeah, and leyline binding and
and the
like every other
virtues.
good deck has some enchantments in it, so people are
Hmm.
just fine playing a lot of enchantment removal, and you're just like, this wasn't intended for me. I'm getting hated out accidentally.
Yeah. Which is like exactly the reason why my Kellen deck isn't working because
Yeah,
nobody's playing enchantments or sorry artifacts because enchantments are
artifacts.
so
Yeah,
much better.
right.
Um, and there's
Just
just like
nice. I didn't realize we were in like an era of standard where enchantments are kind of like a lot of the best cards in the format are enchantments
yeah.
because that's pretty unusual.
You know what's annoying is that we aren't like the enchantment deck isn't even really around doing stuff.
No, no, it's just like each deck has like the
As
best card in that deck is an enchantment, but
mhm.
it only plays one or two enchantments, but it's always their best card.
I
It's
wonder
like,
if they were thinking that Invoke Despair was gonna like because obviously that's banned, so that was like one of the things that made it really difficult because the only way to get around it was playing enchantments, and
right.
now it's like there's just so many busted enchantments. We have like
Even mono red has Kumano.
yeah, which is awesome. And they used to have Fable, but we had to get rid of that because it's too good
Yeah, Fable is too good for standard.
for everything almost.
Yeah.
Like it's starting to creep up there. It's just like too much in
I
one
wouldn't be
card.
surprised if it you don't see it in Pioneer like
Hmm.
relatively soon. It did just win a Pro Tour.
Again,
Yeah, again, that's true. Yeah.
yeah, for like the fourth time in a row.
Clock's ticking on Fable.
Yeah, it's just like, huh.
Actually, you just ban Bane Ripper instead.
Look, this mono black deck wanted to splash red for what card again? Oh, Fable. Interesting.
Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mono black vampires, and then people are like, "Yeah, we're gonna put red in for Fable, though, obviously, right?"
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, it's yeah. So we can dig for our combo piece, right? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah,
also get treasures so that if we have to play the really big creature without Sorin,
yeah,
we
we
can
can
just do
actually
it.
just cast Fane Ripper.
Yeah. But also play
And
a
oh, by the way,
bunch
just
of
in
mute
case it
vaults.
matters, like we can also copy it because it's not legendary. So
Yeah. And then we just win because the
yeah,
like hobby sacrifices itself.
yeah, it just like blows up for so much
Yeah.
damage.
Swings in,
Uh,
hits for 6, blows up, hits for 4 more.
I do love that deck. I don't think it's like amazing, but I love everything that's
I
in
like
there.
it. I like
Yeah.
it too. Um
Did you end up playing it? I noticed
I
when
did.
your stream title said playing Pro Tour decks, and then I jumped into your stream and you were drafting, and I was like, I don't remember these cards at the Pro Tour, but
Interesting.
yeah.
Are you kidding? To be fair, they did
That
draft at the Pro
that's
Tour.
fair. That's fair. Okay, but your title said playing Pro Tour decks in Explorer. And I was like, at first
uh,
I forgot what like random card was in your hand when I jumped in. I was like, wait, what? What are you playing in Explorer? And then I scanned the battlefield and quickly realized this
it
is
was
clearly a limited
interesting.
game.
Well, that must have been an accident because I definitely did once, and then I must not have somehow my title didn't change. Anyway, we did play Vein Ripper and we did play Boros Heroic.
Nice.
Um,
I think that's what it was. The title led me to believe you would be playing Heroic.
Gotcha.
So for whatever reason, it wasn't showing me the updated stream title,
Thing.
probably.
Yeah. But yeah.
What you gonna
Anyway, what are you gonna do? It is fun. It's good. You can make lots of mistakes. There are so many things to do.
Oh man, with heroic in particular, it's just
Hmm.
like I feel like it's such an uphill battle because not only are there a lot of decision points, but if you make any of them wrong, you just lose.
You just
So,
lose like that.
so
Literally.
it's like, man, Simon is a good player because how the hell did he slog through that many matches by virtually making no mistakes because the deck is so bad that every mistake loses the
He
game.
punishes you by losing. Yeah. It's
He's just trying to handicap himself at this point. He's like, man, I keep top hating these pro tours. Like, what deck can I bring that really makes it a challenge?
it's a hard deck. It's also very math heavy, but not in the same way that I think I like Picnic Ruiner because you basically just count and then double. You're like, okay, it's
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
and then again the same
right.
number.
And Picnic
But
Ruiner math is often like it's
Evergreens.
enough. It's
Yeah,
enough.
it's
Like they're
enough.
dead. Like
It's like turn three, you're like, I think they're dead.
yeah.
Um, where there's a
And
lot
then
more
you're like,
like
yep, 32 damage. I didn't even have to really count that out. Like
well, I mean, like it does breed bad habits where you're just like, I think they're dead, and they're at one. You're like, I should have used all my
whoopsie.
gas this
Yeah.
turn. Maybe I should have
I
kept
don't know how
something.
I'm gonna deal that last point of
Yeah,
damage. Like,
yeah. That's why you have to add
gotta draw Kumano.
the pyrotechnic performer or Kumano. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Um, yeah. The heroic deck felt like the type of deck that I build, where it's like really hard to play, extremely technical, and the payoff is medium high. It's not even like really
yeah,
high. It's just like the deck's okay if you pilot it really well.
yeah.
Like,
It I do like it, and it does have my favorite interaction, which is somebody
it
tries to
is
kill my
your
thing.
style of deck
Yeah.
for sure.
It's where someone tries to kill my thing and I get to stop them. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
things. Be that spell pierce. I was thinking the other day, I was like, I don't love countering like every spell, but countering a board wipe is the best feeling.
Oof.
I
When they're like
love,
Sunfall and you're like, Mana Tithe.
yeah, that's the best. I love that so
Although
much.
mana tithing anything is awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
That makes me want to play Arena Cube because we got to
I
monetize.
want to go play like a white deck in Timeless and just jam it with 4 mana tithes. Really get people.
Wow. I haven't done that yet. That sounds so
Yeah.
fun.
Right? I don't know if
Oh,
people are gonna see it coming in Timeless.
I don't think so. Especially if you're playing like white green or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mana time, bitch.
Mana Elf, go.
Although the reality of how it's going to work is you're going to get thought seized on turn one before you have mana tithe up. They're going to see
Mhm.
it, not take it, and they're just going to know you have it all game. And you're gonna be
That's
like
yeah.
a sad panda.
That's when you draw your second mana tithe, and then you get that
Two for one myself, but
yeah.
I gotcha.
Oh god.
It makes me it reminds me of the days of playing Jwari Disruption. I feel like every
Oh
deck I had had at least one Jwari Disruption in it because
yeah.
it's just felt so good to get people on the like.
It's just the best.
Can you pay one? Do you want to pay one extra for that?
Oh, you
Oh,
can't find it? Oh, that's a
that's
bummer for
too
you. I'm so
bad. Put
sorry.
that in the graveyard.
Literally every time I'm building a blue deck, I'm like, and one spell pierce. And
Yeah,
that'll always be there.
it's got to be at least one. Otherwise, why am I playing blue?
Exactly. Because like there's nothing like playing the 2-drop with the one land open just as a
Yeah,
security
and it just
blanket.
looks like you weren't able to curve out to
Hmm.
properly. Like
Yeah.
but I had to play a 2-drop on turn three. I'm so
Ugh, what a
unlucky.
bummer. They go to kill it, you're like, boom, and then you attack them for
Haha,
a
do
million.
have a 3-drop. I
Yeah.
opted not to play it.
Yeah. So I do the same thing except for in green it's just all the protection spells. I'm like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. For some reason, I always see that coming. When
The
someone's
green
playing this
ones.
kind of like protect the queen kind
That's
of
true.
deck, I'm just like, they just always have whatever the protection spell is, or
Mhm.
whatever the
Yeah.
indestructible spell is, or
That's why even if you don't have it, you have to play like you do have it, which is
for
fun.
sure. Yeah. I actually really like playing, like, I don't enjoy playing those decks so much, but I really enjoy playing against them.
Hmm.
One of my favorite matchups in Modern whenever I played that once upon a time was always playing against Infect
Hmm.
because there was this huge like game of chicken on every combat step where your opponent I have clearly like I'm representing Fatal Push and they're representing like pump tons of pump spells and stuff. And it's just like, are you gonna commit a pump spell into my Fatal Push? And then they do it, and I'm like, am I gonna Fatal Push? And because their protection spells also pump, so you don't want
Hmm.
to do it in combat if you can at all avoid it.
Yeah.
So you just had like every game was this like, do I take 7 infect and kill it on end step? And then if they have it, I can untap and kill it. But then I took 7 infect. Like,
Hmm.
and the game's only like 3 turns long, but it still takes 20 minutes or something. So
Yeah.
it's just like staring at each other, like, do you have it?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
See, I really like that's part of Magic that I really enjoy. It's just like
It was really fun. A lot of people
you.
hated on Infect all the time, and I was like, it's
Hmm.
so fun to play against Infect. And whenever you lose, you're like, I could have won that game
Hmm.
if I had been like picking up on some of the information of
That
what
you were
cards they
given.
probably have on their in their hand.
Hmm.
Like as soon as you see what they had, you're like, that makes so much sense. Yep, that's
Yeah.
on me. And you're
Yeah.
always tempted to kill it in combat. Never do it. Don't do
Hmm.
it. It's almost always wrong because then they're like protection and +3/+3. That'll be 10 in fact. You're like,
And you're dead. Yeah.
Yep, shouldn't have
Yeah.
done that. Should have just taken my licks.
Because when they go for it, you get to kill it afterwards.
Right. So they can't go for it.
Hmm.
And then there's those games where you don't have Fatal Push. And you're just like sitting there and pausing, letting the
Hmm.
timer run up a bit. You have
Yeah.
nothing,
Hmm.
but you're just like hold full control in the arena equivalent. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, pass. Do you have a pump spell? And they're like, no effects, go to damage. Just like,
You're
woof.
like,
I can't do that too many more times, but
yeah, or they're
like,
gonna
that
like,
bought me a turn.
yeah,
It was really fun.
yeah. That's definitely the picnic router has the same feel of that.
Yeah,
Of just
exactly.
like,
So I like playing against those decks. I don't
hmm.
love playing with them personally because I don't know. I love being on the other side of it of like, do they have a protection spell? I don't know. Versus do they have a removal spell? Probably pretty similar to be
It's pretty similar. But yes, the same. Like, if I pump this right now, am I gonna die?
honest. Yeah. And
Are
that's why
you?
I loved it. So many combats where like both people just stare at each other and it's like, did I take one infect? It's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take one.
uh, which is, uh, anyway,
Good times.
good times, Jeff. This has been a crazy episode. I've loved every minute.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Um,
We don't usually go off the rails quite like that.
no,
So.
but definitely off the rails is exactly what this is. Let's go to last call. So we have a beer to rate this evening. It is our guilty remnant, the white stout with coffee, vanilla, and lactose. As always, we rate these beers on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. And if you are thinking we're gonna, basically what I'm trying to say is that everybody is in different tiers at different times. So don't feel bad when we say that bronze beers are trash. They're horrible. You have to spit them out and pour them on the ground because they're so disgusting. Ugh.
Yeah, silver beers are just bad or boring, so macro brews tend to find themselves in the silver category.
Gold beers are fine, but you wouldn't really drink them again.
Platinum beers are good. You would drink them again.
Diamond beers are exceptional. You would recommend these to your friends.
And mythic, these are the best of the best. These are, whatever the opposite of alchemy is. Insert your favorite format here, but I'm
Yeah,
sure it's not alchemy.
probably not. Sweet. Well, Jeff, what did you think about this guilty remnant, the white stout? How does it stack up to other white stouts that we've had in the past?
It has been a very long time since I had a white stout,
It.
so what I will say is it did the white stout thing. Like
Hmm.
it looks like a lager or a pale ale,
Yeah.
and it tastes like a stout, and that messes with my mind. And I,
Yes.
I loved that part of it. As far as like how good of a stout is it, I think it was okay. Um, we were a little worried about this before the show, but I did not love the vanilla on this one.
Yeah.
And it was definitely noticeable. But I did get the coffee and the vanilla, which I always hate when they claim there are flavors or whatever in it and you just don't
And
get those.
yeah.
I don't think you can say that about this one. I got both of those things.
Hmm.
But like I don't love vanilla coffee beverages.
Things.
That's
That's true.
like I would never make that for myself. Like put the vanilla creamer in your coffee or have the French vanilla, which I know a lot of people do like. I don't, and so this gave me a lot of like kind of Tim Hortons French vanilla vibes that I was like, it's not my favorite, but I think otherwise like it's a well-made beer. It tastes like a stout, and it tasted more like a stout first, and those were the highlighting flavors rather
Hmm.
than that it actually tasting like a French vanilla coffee.
Yeah.
So it was pretty
Totally.
good, but it's just not. I don't think I'm the intended audience for this.
Yeah. I thought it was I thought it was pretty good. The reason we were worried about the vanilla is that in the ingredients it says vanilla extract. And just most of the time when I'm thinking about I'm sure that in beers they use this often enough, but in my mind vanilla flavoring comes from the barrels that you
Hmm.
put the beer in or the wine or the
Yeah,
whatever spirit,
maybe gin. Who knows?
gin or rum or usually rum. Um So that was my concern, but and I actually didn't really think about it until you started mentioning it. That I was like, I had tasted the vanilla and it just kind of blew past me, um,
Yeah,
and I kind
it
of
definitely
forgot.
has those like fake, quote unquote, fake vanilla
Yes,
flavor,
it definitely
which,
tastes like vanilla, not vanilla bean kind of thing.
right.
Um, but I don't want to like stick too tightly with that. In general, white stouts are kind of strange. It's a
Yeah,
strange beer. It's
it's a
really
weird
it's
experience. Yeah.
um But as far as they go, like I feel confident in telling someone who hasn't had a white stout before to try this.
Yeah,
So I liked it. I probably wouldn't drink another one though right now. Um, so this is a
for
weird
sure.
thing.
Yeah.
Normally I would probably put this in diamond, but I think with that caveat of like I don't necessarily need to.
Right. This is the weird, like, it's gold because I probably won't drink it again, but it's
Mhm.
diamond because I would recommend it to people.
Exactly. So like maybe that lands in platinum, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm happy to give this platinum on
I'll
my end.
probably say that. Yeah, probably a platinum, but with that weird caveat of I will point at
Yeah.
it, but I'm not going to pick it up a lot, if that makes
Right. Like
sense.
the solid beer and will drink again description of platinum does not apply to
Apply
this.
to
Like
this
I won't drink
specific
this
one,
again, but it is
but
a solid beer.
it's definitely not gold.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It
also
just
not
feels too
diamond.
harsh to give it gold.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All
Um,
right.
I love that I'll be able to point to people with this, be like, okay, if you want to try the white stout, and if you like, the like
Hmm.
vanilla
Vanilla.
creamers and like
Yeah,
that kind of stuff in your coffee, you're gonna love this one.
this is up your alley. Yeah, I think that's having a nice little caveat for the beers is always good.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic, Jeff. I'm glad we got to try this one. Been looking at it for a while, so happy
I
we.
feel like my general feeling about Blood Brothers is like really well made and good beer, but it's targeting a different audience than me because
Yeah,
it's a
it
lot of like
tends not to
fruity
be
sours and
mhm,
vanilla-y stouts and stuff like
stouts
that.
that you just don't care for.
Yeah, it's just not my style, my like number one. It's not what I would choose or make myself. So it's kind of like, but I can
Yeah,
appreciate that they are good at what they do, and I understand why a lot of people would like this a
mhm.
lot.
Jeff's saying this because I like Blood Brothers a lot. So
Yeah, I was like, Blood Brothers is more like make the stuff you like.
yeah. Anyway, let's go to closing time. As always, you can reach us at Arena Regulars on Twitter and Instagram.
You may also find us on MTG Arena in those alchemy queues. Our username will be Arena Regulars Podcast.
Hmm. If you want to talk to me personally, you can find me at Zulberg, that's Zulberg on Twitter and Instagram. I also stream on Twitch at regular Zach Monday through Wednesday. But Jeff, where can they find you?
Best place is our Discord channel. I go by regular Jeff in the Discord channel. We have lots of fun stuff to talk about. We got deck lists, we for all formats. We have even some events that we might
Hmm.
be planning. So come
That's
check it
true.
out. The link for that should be in the show notes.
Yes. Specifically, go to the limited area if you want to talk about events. We have something cooking. And if you have, been here, if you've been listening long enough to hear this part, you probably are a big enough fan to be part of this event. So come check it out. If you would like to, please leave us a review at Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Leave us a review there. Go to YouTube. Click the buttons. Do the stuff. It actually helps the podcast out a lot more. All that SEO stuff really means something, apparently. So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
finally understand why everyone says it's so important.
I know. But actually, what would be most important to us if is you could just, recommend us to your friends. That's the most helpful way to help the podcast. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
personal favorite.
This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you that alchemy is still a mid-range dominated dumpster fire.
Good night. All right, that's fine.